Hey everybody, Josh here, and welcome to the Go Therefore podcast. Today I sat down with Michael Brisco. He's currently the warden at the Chaves County Detention Center, and he's also a candidate for County Commissioner District 1. You know, he's been a friend of mine for a long time, and he's a brother in the Lord. And we talked about the gospel, we talked about prison, we talked about family, we talked about his platform and some of the things he would like to do for the county if he's elected. Anyway, I hope you enjoy.
Thank you, Jesus, for this podcast. Please use it to reach somebody lost.
And Jesus came and said to them, All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Going. All right. So how you been?
Good. How you been?
Good. I'm doing great. Hey everybody, welcome to the Go Therefore podcast. I'm sitting here with Michael Brisco. He's currently the warden of our local county jail, and he is a candidate for the commissioncy. What's the word there?
It's Chaves County Commissioner District 1.
Oh, okay, nice. And what does that cover?
So District 1 covers basically the whole southeastern side of Roswell. So from the base and Hobson, if you go north on Main, anything on the right-hand side, on the east side of the road, all the way up to 2nd Street.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2nd, it kind of cuts off and follows the railroad tracks out all the way towards the Old Clovis Highway.
Oh, okay. That's a big area.
Yeah, it's the third biggest district we have. And then south, it goes all the way from the base to the Old Extra Highway and all the way down to Orchard Park.
Oh, okay. Wow. For somebody who doesn't know, like me, what in my head, and this might be totally wrong, are you like a city councilman just for that area of the county, or am I way off?
No, it's very similar to city council, except for it's the whole county.
Uh-huh.
So the whole county is broken into 5 districts, and there's 5 seats that you have to be elected for, and District 1 is the southeastern side. So I will, if elected, then what I'll end up doing is sitting on that position with 4 other commissioners that represent their own districts.
See, so would I go to you if I was trying to dig a big hole or build a crazy big fence or something like a councilman would handle, or?
Sort of. Actually, you go to planning and zoning for that. But what the commissioner is they're constituent to their district, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of an ombudsman for problems that happen in their district.
Oh, okay.
So if your roads, for example, are not being fixed and you don't think it's being held up to the standard it should,
Mm-hmm.
then you reach out to your representative.
Oh, okay.
And then they will talk to the county manager, and the county manager is actually the one who will have the road crew go fix that pothole or whatever it is.
Oh, okay. So you just be the representative for issues we're having there.
Yeah,
No.
that's a big role, but another role is to set policies and procedures that are followed throughout the county too.
Mm-hmm.
So we make the best policies and procedures for our staff to follow that's in the best interest for our county and for our district.
Oh, okay. And I don't know, I can give away your address or whatever, but you live in your district, right? Is that one of the
Yes.
Is that one of the requirements?
One of the requirements is that you have to reside in your district. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's correct.
And you grew up within it, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Roswell, Dexter, Midway area,
Mm-hmm.
and predominantly I lived in District 1. I've worked in District 1 in agriculture my whole agriculture career, but I grew up there, and I did move out to the prison, so that's a different district. And I lived out there for a while, but I ended up moving right back in the heart of my district.
Right, and then for those of you who don't know, Michael and I, we've known each other since high school, and then I've spent the majority of my adult life working for him at the prison, and then I want to say, 3 years ago?
Yeah,
You left and went to the jail. For a long time we were neighbors. And for anybody listening, wondering about him and the kind of neighbor he is a he is a good neighbor, unless you are unless you're trying to mow your lawn, and then he'll trick you with a cold beverage. I gotta know, was that timed? Did you just not want to hear it?
Some of the best decisions ever made at that penitentiary was over a cold one at a fence.
Nice, yeah. And then a lot. I was thinking about this the other day when you had agreed to talk to me before I sent you kind of an idea. I remember there for a while you were doing all that wood stuff and the bowls. Are you still? Or what are some of your hobbies? I guess
I am. So, of course, I have basic guy hobbies: hunting, fishing. I still drive. Well, I still have my race car, so we do dirt racing, and then woodworking. I do, and now I have a very large woodworking shop.
Yeah.
Where at the prison I had just that little shop. Now I actually have a 100 by 40 wood shop. So I still, as a way to relax, I hobby on wood. I build bowls, I build furniture. Lately I've been building commissioner signs. So yeah, that's woodworking is still definitely one of my hobbies.
Have you seen some of the stuff Slape's doing?
I have heard about some of this. I heard he was building some nice flags and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Yeah, real
I haven't
nice
seen
inlays and stuff. Yeah. I don't know if you follow him on whatever he's on, TikTok or whatever.
Does he have is he working out of his?
Just out of his garage.
Oh, his garage. Cool.
He was stating that he had a lot of equipment or something that he had acquired somehow or another in California, but it was just a matter of going down there to get it at some point. Yeah. You were just basically just using like the lathe, right? Just to smooth them out.
Yeah.
Is that's still the main part?
Yeah, so for like a bowl or a candle holder or a shot glass or anything like that, I turn it on the lathe.
Yep.
And the main part is just spinning it and then, of course, fine-tuning it just with whatever, sandpaper and dribbles.
What I was wondering, too, is because at the prison, we didn't have a drive home, right? So you spend all day at the prison and then you walk 5 minutes to your house. So I always just kind of thought like, my hobbies or whatever, and I always just kind of thought your hobby was like, well, that's his way of unwinding, of breaking down from the day doing this. Is it different now that you have a drive home and that? Does it make the hobby better?
I don't think it makes the hobby better. I don't think that's a factor. I think that the drive home lets you unwind and kind of clear your mind before you get there, because as you know, working in DOC or jails or whatever, there's a lot of chaotic mess going on, and that's sort of in your head. So in order for you not to take that home, the drive, I think, is actually well worth the amount of gas it takes.
Yeah.
Just decompress and to clear your mind. But as far as hobby, no, I don't think that it does. I still enjoy it. I enjoy making things. I enjoy giving gifts that I've built, and just seeing what level I could take it to.
Oh, that's cool. So, back to public service here. How long have you been in public service?
Oh man, total public service. I started as a junior firefighter for Midway Volunteer Fire Department when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
And I did that for a few years, and then I went to the jail where I'm at now, and I was there for a few years prior to even going to prison to working inside the prison. I was at the prison for a little over 19 years, and then I went back to the jail for another 3 so far. But even that, the whole time, I was also a volunteer firefighter for District 8 too. So if you add up all those years, I think it's 27 years, I think, that I've been a public servant.
Are you still involved with a volunteer?
I'm not. I'm not involved with the volunteer fire department right now. But one of my main goals, if I do get elected, is to strengthen the volunteers that we currently have. Because right now, volunteer fire departments, they're almost a thing of the past. And what I mean by that is it's hard to find volunteers that are willing to give their time and to run into a burning building without getting paid. So I think the county and the state need to up the ante, like give it some more perks to get some more people attracted to doing that. And right now, currently, they do get a retirement. You can earn a PERA retirement through the volunteer fire department. But it's very, I think it's $250 if you do 10 years and maybe 500, I don't know, if you do 20. Whatever it is, it's very low. But I do think that the state and the county need to get with legislation and have our legislators fight for more perks to attract those volunteers. Because a lot of our rural counties, or rural areas around here, they depend on them. Now, District 8 is kind of a thing of its own because we have 340 people that we can pull from to run that one. But Midway, Berendo, Sierra, all of our other departments are strictly civilians. They're not inmates and they're not officers, so they're strictly civilians that are donating their time. And there's just not enough volunteers.
I see.
And then you get down towards the Boot Hill, Paniasco, Duncan. Those people live maybe 40 miles away at best from their department. So for them to actually shake loose and get over there to fight a fire, it's very hard to find volunteers down there. It's just the population is not there.
Right. What would be an example of a perk that you think somebody would be more likely to join one? Like are you talking like a tax break, or what kind of?
I would say that there's a lot of different options that could be explored. One being a tax break. One being up the retirement pay. That way people can strive to try to get that retirement. A lot more training for those officers or for those volunteer firefighters. That way that they're safe and their knowledge, they'll thirst for the opportunities if you put them in front of them. And I just don't think they are being put in front of them now.
I see.
But that's going to be something that's going to have to be changed on the state level. The legislators are going to have to fight for that.
I see. That sounds like a good fight to have. Can you tell us a little bit about your time in detention and in corrections? I mean, I know you have, but if you could tell us like when you started, or maybe some of your favorite posts or something memorable.
Man,
something memorable without implicating the preacher who's interviewing. I'm just kidding.
Well, let's move on to the next question. Next. Actually, there's been a lot of times that kind of stand out. I think one of the most recent and one of the best times is actually watching my son that I raised inside that prison graduate from the academy and start working there. Yeah. I think that's probably one of my most happiest things. Maybe I shouldn't say happiest, but I kind of, it's turning into a family business.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. So.
And I'll tell you, he does a good job. We get a kick out of him.
Oh, I'll bet. I bet it's kind of weird on y'all's side too, seeing the little freckle-faced kid that used to ride a bike up and down in staff parking.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And whistle at our officers.
Yep.
And now he works there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's we were talking. Tanner was actually helping me today. We were talking about it, and he has more time at that prison than most inmates doing a life sentence, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure. Well, I remember your boys being little, even when I first moved out there, and you had already lived out there for a couple of years at that point.
Yeah, we moved out there. I think Tanner was maybe 6 or younger, 5 or 6, and Tyler was probably 7 or 8. And yeah, they were raised inside of it. Yeah. So actually watching him transition from a kid to a young adult that's in a career now, at the same place that I made my career, I think it's rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good officer, and it's almost a throwback. And I would assume this comes from just how you're raising him and just having fun and boys being boys. But a lot of newer staff, I'm not sure the right word for it, might be sensitive or something. And he's one that you can give him a little bit of grief. You can tease him a little bit, and he just kind of rolls with the punches, or he'll give it right back to you.
Yeah, no, you better be able to take it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
I don't want to say I raised him with an iron fist, but when he needed to be spanked, he got choked.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's kind of how it works.
Well, you did a good job.
Well, good.
I remember y'all used to live in that house that we were living in, and in the I don't even know what you call it, but above the washer and dryer, I guess you kept their pants there or whatever.
Yeah.
So you had his sizes. If they went through and they painted that like a year ago, and they were in there, I said, "Yeah, leave that alone," because we just got a kick out of that seeing that.
So yeah, so the sizes were there because I was a single dad,
Right.
and those sizes were there because I would put his on one side and his brother's on the other, and I didn't want to get them mixed up, and so every pair of jeans I washed, I'd look at the tag and see if they were his or his brother's, and they got slid to the right or the left.
That's funny. He
And,
no longer wears that size.
Yeah. No, I'm aware of that. You know what's a funny deal too is one time I got put on graveyards, and I had the boys, and I was a single dad, so they would stay home by themselves. So what I did was I got these little two-way little Cobra radios, these little walkie-talkies, and they would have one at the house, and I would have one in the compound. And then when they needed something, they would just call me on and say, "Hey, Dad, like, what do we make for dinner, or what, what are we going to eat, or whatever the question was." And one time, I had this inmate. He was acting unruly. He was in the lieutenant's office, and we were having not a monologue, it was a dialogue. I was on, and all of a sudden, as I'm lecturing to this inmate, my radio goes off, my little handheld radio, and it's Tanner. And he says, Dad. So I just key up real quick, and I tell him, "Hold on." And I just keep lecturing this inmate, and he, Dad. I'm like, "Hold on. Dad. Hold on." And I can't. So I stopped the deal with the inmate, and I said, "Hold on." I said, "What?" And he says, "I'm on the toilet, and there's no toilet paper in here, and my brother won't bring me none." I'm like, oh man. And what's funny is it was a heated conversation between me and the inmate, and immediately the inmate and me both started laughing.
Right.
And the inmate says, "You know what, LT? You got enough going on. I'll behave. Go get that kid some toilet paper." So I had to walk all the way over there to get a roll of toilet paper out of above the washer and dryer, open the door and throw it to him. But yeah,
That's funny.
you just had to do what you had to do, raising kids on your own, and that's what happened. And I would always work. I would try it in the summers. I would work my night shift. Well, I tried to work night shift during summers. That way I could be home with the boys throughout the day. And then when they went to school, throughout the school year, I would try to go to days. That way our schedules were kind of the same, and we could spend the most time together. It's not because I like days or less time because I like nights.
Right.
It's just because I had to do that as a dad.
Yeah, just trying to do what's best for them. You're talking about them calling you on the radio. It's not the same thing. But Kendra, you always see stuff on Facebook where people will be talking about, "Oh, when I grew up, we had rotary phones," or
Yeah.
when I do. She always posts on those things. Well, have you ever had to call the control center of a prison in the middle of the night?
Yeah, to open the gate. Yep.
Yeah, she got a unique experience for kids. I never thought of that when they were there, because that's just where you live.
I would tell people, and I'm sure you found this too. I would tell people, they asked me where I live. I'm like, "Well, I live out at the prison," and they say, "Oh, you live out by the prison?" No, I live out at the prison.
Yeah.
"Oh, you mean next door to it?" "No, I live inside the prison."
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, No, really. I'm like, "No, really, I do." So I ended up just getting tired of telling people that. So I just switched it over and I said, "I live in a gated community."
Yeah, absolutely. Don't go over there. There's a man with a shotgun.
Fact, yeah. I live in a gated community that has an armed officer there. And the good thing about living out there is no one just stopped by.
Never. Yep.
No, I lived there for a long time. Not one person did they ever just say, "Hey, I was in the neighborhood."
Yeah.
If you're in the neighborhood out there, you are either coming to that prison or you're trying to bring drugs into that prison.
Right.
One or the other.
Have you ever had? I'm trying to think of his name. He just passed away the other day. the insurance man, Loya, Fred Loya. Those people called us one time because we were getting car insurance from there, and they told us that they were going to drop our policy because of all the DUIs. I said, we've never had. That lady got to looking at the address. Needless to say, they lowered our policy back down to what it should have been if we didn't lose our insurance.
No, and it never happened to me, but I can completely see that happen.
Yeah, oh yeah. You guys had 250 DUIs.
Yeah, or you look on the sex offender registry and
no
your old
kidding.
house is lit up red. And whoa, that's not how this goes.
Yeah, how do you have 70 of those in your house?
Yeah, you have a 4-bedroom house.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to insure you, buddy.
Party over there. Yep. You know, growing or having my kids grow up there, we always had, of course, a yard inmate.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this inmate, Javier Torres. He worked for me in my yard. And one time I told Tanner to take out the trash. And he got the trash and walked out and came right back in. I said, no, take it all the way out. Like, don't just throw it out by the door. You got to take it all the way out. And he said, I got it covered.
Oh, yeah.
and he was like 6, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what do you mean you got it covered? He said, I got it covered, Dad. I walked to the door, I opened the door, and I seen the yard inmate taking the trash out.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, hey, you can't be doing that. Like, don't listen to this kid. And he said, well, he told me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. He said, well, he also wants me to build that playhouse that I've been working on. I said, no, what? Like, I didn't realize my kid was giving my yard guy.
Yeah, he had a porter.
Yeah. He worked for a 6-year-old.
That's funny.
So I had to put a stop to that. Yeah, the wild things living out there, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. You know, and then thinking about being out there, like you and Crocker, and don't repeat this to Crocker because I don't want to hear about it. But you guys were always somebody that we looked up to because we came in after y'all and you guys knew your stuff. Was there anybody like that for you when you came in, like the way y'all were to us?
Yeah, oh yeah. There was. I always say that I came into corrections at the exact perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got out of academy and got to RCC, they had just switched over to a 20-year retirement.
Uh-huh.
So literally the first year I was there was probably 10 or 12 COs retired.
Uh-huh.
Because they all got grandfathered into that 20-year retirement and got those back credits, and they all bounced.
Uh-huh.
But in that year, I was able to learn, and when I got there, like there was, I think, 3 other people my age.
Mm-hmm.
Fraze, Dominguez, and Angela
Romero? Yeah.
Other than that, everyone else was like 10 or 10 plus years older than us.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, they kind of took me under the wing. A lot of these old school guys, ones Howard Patton, Albert Padilla, Big Will, Andy Sanchez, like all those dudes. They were there for my first year, and I got to learn from them.
Yeah.
Which was good for me. And then they all retired. Well, what that did is that opened up the door for sergeants.
Mm-hmm.
So 12 of us applied for sergeant, and they had 2 spots, and Crocker got number 1, I got number 2, so we were both promoted to sergeant. But I've always been thankful that I got to learn from those old school guys, because you could learn everything you want in the academy. They teach you everything they think you need to know. Very small portion of that applies to RCC.
Mm-hmm.
So going to RCC and getting there and learning how to basically talk to these inmates was my biggest strength. Like, sometimes you have to rule with an iron fist, sometimes you have to rule with compassion. And I learned that from them. So, yeah, I would say there's 6 or 10 of those old school guys that I really did admire, and they taught me a lot.
Yeah.
Del Palacio, remember Del Palacio? He was one
I
of
do.
them.
Yeah.
Del Blasio, I mean, he was our control center officer, and he didn't like change, and he didn't like anything other than control.
Right.
But he was good at it. Like, he was super good at it. I remember the day they took away his typewriter and gave him a computer. I thought, well, that was just it. He couldn't handle it. The world is ending because he could not mess with this computer. And the first time I walked into control, I was like, all you hear is ding, 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 ding. And then the guy walks away from it, and it keeps going. Like, it's trying to catch up to him.
Oh, yeah.
My man. So, yeah, we didn't get a computer in control center until 2004.
Oh, yeah. Huh. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a good control officer. One night I was talking to him. He had stayed over for overtime, and he told me that he had come from a woman's prison in Sierra Blanca or something like that. And however long he had spent there, he was the control guy. So I guess he just showed up and already knew it. Is probably why they threw him in there, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he did from what he told me when he was there, it was all control center. And then he worked all control the whole time I was at RCC, other than a specialty post or having to go on a transport or having to do something. He always was a control officer.
Yeah.
And one of the best. Del Blasio was one of the best control officers I've ever seen there.
Yeah. Well, and he would take it too for overtime. Like if you both got stuck, nobody wanted that post, and you could always count on him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. If it's control, he'll take it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, control is one of the posts that I liked the least.
Yeah, me too.
I did not like control. I didn't like transports. I didn't like hospital duty.
Yeah.
Or vehicle control.
Yeah.
I needed to keep moving. So if you sit me in a truck all night, I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah. Same.
So anytime I got mandatory over, I would try to make a deal with the housing officer to try to get moved over there to switch them out.
Yeah. There'd been times that I got stuck on VP just because of not having seniority or whatever. And the thing I hated the most about VP is it's boring. But then when you would work overtime, you forget the inmates.
Yeah.
When you're a CO, you know where every single inmate is all day long. You tell them where he's hanging out, and now they're, hey, go find this guy and bring him here. I don't even know what this guy looks like. I've been in a van driving circles for 5 months. What do you want?
I would get so bored on vehicle patrol that I would drive it backwards.
Oh yeah, you have done that.
I would throw it in reverse and drive back all backwards all night. I just spent all night backing around the facility.
That's fun.
So
I used to wait for my opportunity to jack with a Colligan.
Oh, and calling it 89 before him? Oh, man.
Do that, or on VP, what he hated is because he would take over VP and you would call out the mileage. It's whatever. And he would absolutely lose his mind if you named the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I would wait. And I'd blurt out the mileage of it, 0.6.
Yep.
I lived for that 2 seconds. Sometimes he would call it in that way. He'd be like, VP, I'm here to relieve you. Let's have your mileage. I don't need the tips.
Yeah.
Oh, but you're getting them.
Copy that, but here it is.
He'll try to walk on you.
And backing up a little bit, you said that being on vehicle patrol, you didn't learn the inmates or you would forget them.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the biggest challenges of jail, too. At that prison, I knew everybody's first name, last name. I knew where town they were from. I knew most of their wives, their kids' names. I knew their monikers. I knew the beef they had. I knew everything about them. I spent my time learning those inmates.
Mm-hmm.
In jail, it's a revolving door, and it's so fast.
Oh, yeah.
You don't get time to learn them.
Mm-hmm.
I literally left one night, told this inmate to behave, left, came back the next day, and made a round and said, hey, did you behave last night? He said, well, no, I got arrested.
Oh, yeah.
It's that fast. It's that the recidivism rate for jail is just mind-blowing.
No, can I
How
imagine.
fast they come in and out. Like, some of them, they don't even, we can't even get their bedding washed before they're back to get it.
Yeah.
It's a revolving door. And I didn't like when I got there that I didn't know them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I liked to know my inmates.
Sure.
But over there, you can't because it's so fast moving. It's so many open and shut doors. It's just a revolving door.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't learn them like that.
Right.
Now, I have learned the majority of them, but not like RCC. Not like I don't know 100% of them.
Just like your frequent flyers,
Yeah.
probably know them. Yeah.
Right. And it's easier to deal with an inmate when you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, if you have an inmate misbehaving and you tell him you know his wife comes every Tuesday for visits, and you remind him that he could lose he could lose those visits.
Mm-hmm.
That's a behavioral tool, and it puts him on the right track to being behaved, which makes your job and the officer's job a lot easier, and you're in a safer institution. But over here, if you don't know them, what are you going to take away from them? Plus, they don't get visits. They don't get all the stuff they get in prison. They don't get in county jail.
Right.
Like they get their rights, but the rights are not like prisons. You don't get all the special deals like you do in prison.
And where do you start? Because at a prison, if I've been dealing with the same guy for 2 years, there's some guys, sugarcoat it, there's some guys you need to yell at and be very stern with, and then there's some guys you can talk to them and reason with them and whatever throughout the whole spectrum. But where do you start in your situation? Do you start at 100 and then calm down, or
no, you don't, unless it takes that. And I don't want to say you never start at 100 because sometimes they come in combative. They come in high. They come in ready to fight. You know, no one got invited to prison or to jail.
That's true.
So they're not going to be happy. The thing about it is in prison, they already learned their fate. They already know what's coming, and they've already accepted that, basically. In jail, they come in, they're mad. They're mad at their wife for pressing charges, or the officer for pulling them over, or, you know, they're already mad. And most of the time, they're under the influence of either alcohol or they're under the influence of narcotics.
Right.
So now, not only are they emotionally mad, but chemically, they're not right in the head. So then it goes all the way to the detox phase where you got to detox them. And alcohol is the only thing you can detox off. Well, I don't say the only thing. Death from detox on alcohol is a higher rate than any other narcotic.
Oh.
Now, they may be coming off of heroin or fentanyl or methamphetamines or whatever. Doesn't mean they're going to die. It just means it's going to suck. Alcohol, you can actually die off of because your body becomes dependent on it. So we really have to watch our alcohol detox, and it's very, very staff intensive.
You use medication or?
Yeah, so for alcohol detox, they're issued a kit, and they're seen by our nursing staff, of course, and then they're actually seen by a provider, and the provider gives the orders for whatever concoction of kit that they are going to require, or if it's narcotics, then they can be placed on. And you guys are going to be dealing with this if you're not already with the MAT program.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, so the MAT program is Medicaid Assisted Treatment, and basically what that is a unfunded mandate that our lovely governor decided we needed to do, which is ridiculous. I don't think that everything was taken into consideration prior to making it a mandate, but now it's state law that we have to continue the care. And I don't have an issue with the continuation of care part, because what that means is if you come to jail and you're currently being seen by a provider on the streets with a prescription, then we have to continue that care. I agree to that. But now the second part of this is that you come into jail, then our site says, have you ever had a drug problem? Well, yeah, I've been off dope for 5 years. Well, do you want to be on that? Well, yeah, I want to get high. So at what point do we become the enabler?
Right.
And it's all because it's state law now. And we're talking for a population like mine of up to 400 inmates, we're talking over $1 million of taxpayer money that has to go to fund this program that our governor decided we needed to do.
Yeah, that every single inmate's going to get on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you can't it's hard to hold anyone accountable, because if they're on Suboxone or whatever, and then you go to drug test them, no kidding, they're going to test positive for that. So are they abusing it? You don't know. That test doesn't show, unless maybe there is one that'll show you the amount that they're doing. But
that's right.
I mean, that's just another cost.
Well, and not only that, but the medication itself is super expensive. So it comes in 3 different forms. It comes in a strip,
Mhm.
it comes in a pill, and it comes by injection.
Mhm.
So the injection lasts for 30 days. So you give them the injection, 30 days later, they're going to need another one.
Mhm.
The pill can be twice a day as well as the strips.
Mhm.
Pills on average are $4 to $7 a piece. So per inmate, that's about $14 a day
Mhm.
if you go that route. Now, $14 a day or $14 a day times 30 is
Mhm.
pretty costly.
Right.
But with the injections, you're looking at over $1,000 a shot. And not only that, but that's just the that's just the pharmacy cost.
Right.
So you start looking at the actual cost,
Mhm.
and what I mean by the actual cost is that doesn't only mean medication; it also means one-on-one counseling,
Mhm.
group counseling, a whole separate housing unit. They gotta be living with others like them that are on this program,
Mhm.
and not the diverting of it. So you give an inmate a strip, they're going to try to cheek it and hide it from security staff. So
Sure.
it's very time labor
Mhm.
because the security staff have to sit there for 15 minutes
Mhm.
per inmate while this pill dissolves in their mouth.
Mhm.
Then you got to check their mouth, have them rinse, and then you got to check their mouth again. We're looking at about 20 minutes per inmate. Now you times that by 400, there's not enough hours in the day to
No.
do it.
No.
Unless you have 20 SEALs lined up there to do it.
Yeah, and then who's picking up their work? Who's
Exactly.
yeah? Oh yeah, that's just
So, I just don't, I think that we jumped into this mandate prematurely and we
Mhm.
didn't explore it to the fullest that we should have to be responsible
right.
as making these laws.
Right, and you could have diverted and used less money probably to build up an RDAP program or something that currently existed, something that was currently kind of working, and you could see how to
Right.
improve that, or because I have no problem
Yeah, we
helping
jumped
people,
off the
but
deep end, reinventing the wheel,
right,
when there is programs that probably could have been refined and fine-tuned
Yep.
to make it work better.
Yep.
But instead of doing that, we jumped off and burned taxpayer money.
yeah, and kept people dependent on the drug they're after.
Exactly. So now, backing up, that guy that comes in that hasn't been on any kind of narcotics for 5 years, he's been rolling straight. He's sitting in jail now for, let's say, a DWI or a speeding ticket.
Mhm.
Now he's bored, so of course his mind's going to wander. He's going to want to numb his mind. He's going to say, yes, I want Suboxone.
Mhm.
So guess what? We're going to put him on Suboxone at taxpayers' expense. So we're going to burn those funds on this inmate.
Yeah.
Well, when he gets out, now guess what? 5 years, he was a productive member of society.
Mhm.
But now we enabled him, so when he gets out, guess what he's going to do? He's going to turn right back to what started the whole issue to begin with.
Yep.
A lot of people say that Suboxone is like a diabetic med.
Mhm.
It's lifelong.
Mhm.
So when you get on it, very, very few inmates ever taper off and get off of Suboxone.
Right.
So it's basically a lifelong drug. It's not a solution, it's a band-aid.
Right. Yeah, when you could have just done something with a cognitive program
Right.
or behavior modification, whatever.
Yep.
Or I mean, I'm a fan of the religious programs too. You know, like crossings and stuff like that. They seem to help people, and you could add things like that. And you've added some stuff over there, haven't you? Did you add a chaplain or something?
Yeah.
I know Richard said he goes over there a lot.
Yeah. So idle minds are bad in jails and prison.
Mhm.
So when I got over there, the first week I was there, I asked the staff, I wanted a roster for all of our volunteers.
Mhm.
And they said, we don't got none. So,
That's easy
No,
assignment.
any and all. I said, I want all of them. I don't care what they're doing. I want all list of all of our volunteers. We don't got none. So what do you mean you don't have volunteers? So we haven't had a volunteer here since before COVID.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, why not? Well, because of COVID, and we just don't do that anymore.
Mhm.
I said, whoa, that's not right. I look at it as two ways. One, they have a constitutional right to
Mhm.
religion,
Sure.
and that right doesn't go away when you go to jail.
Mhm.
But two, morally, I feel that shame on me if I don't do that.
Right.
So we immediately jumped on board and started getting volunteers and started putting together a volunteer training plan. I modeled ours after New Mexico DOC's. Chaplain Brazil it helped me out with some of those policies, and we got those put in place. But now we have built that up to where we have not only every religion, our clergy's coming in almost on a daily basis. We have a unofficial, official chaplain. Acuna is our volunteer chaplain at our facility. We also bring in an AA, we have NA, we have Wings for Life coming in. So now we have a lot of these other programs. We're bringing in Fathers for Readers.
Okay.
For two reasons. One, because it'll stop some of my idle minds, and they start trying to be productive members of society again. And two, it's going to build their relationship with Christ way better.
Right. What does one of those programs look like versus a prison? Like, let's say someone's in Crossings, that program can be built to, okay, this is going to take 6 months
Right.
for each
Right.
deal or whatever. You might not have them for 6 months.
So here's the biggest problem with programs in jails is it's such a fast revolving door that they don't have time. Sometimes they have all the time in the world, but you never know, because there could be a motion filed in their case that's immediate dismissal, where I have to do immediate release on them. Well, we don't want to start investing a bunch of money and time into a program that they could potentially just walk away from and not finish it. So we're focusing on our one-on-ones and our chapel services that they can get the Word of God, they can get everything they need right then and there, and then come back the next day and do it again. And if they're not there the third day, well, at least we got them 2.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But as far as a program to invest in, Wings for Life, we use programs. We also do Aspen. And Aspen comes in and they teach classes in there, which those are all great in their own sense. But what it does for my security staff is it kind of gives them a break, because now 20 inmates is not in my pod that I don't have to deal with because they're with the chaplain, you know. And at the end of it, we're doing that in hopes of lowering our recidivism rate and making better members of society for our communities. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna see them in Walmart.
Yeah, 100%.
You're gonna be in line next to them. They're gonna move in next door to you. So the way I look at it is, why not spend all the time that we can investing in them to try to make them better members of society for our community? Now, is it going to help all the time? No. But if it helps part of the time, we're investing in it. We're going to do it. And also, changing some mindsets at that jail as far as staff. Because staff got used to not having chapel. They got used to not having AA, NA. They got used to not having these volunteers come in. And early on in my career, I could not stand volunteers. Because I looked at it like it's just something else I have to do. I had something else I have to worry about. Something else I have to watch for. They're not here spreading God. They're here trying to bring in dope. And you have to have that mentality, as well as, no, wait a minute, they're actually here helping. It took years before I realized, like, I'm housing one officer, and I had 20 of my 48 from Alpha and 12 of my Echo 44 in there. It left me sitting in a nice housing unit with very few inmates. So,
and the ones that are coming back are all charged up, telling the other ones about it, and then maybe next week, the half you were stuck with are going to be gone. Now, speaking of programs, and the reason I was asking about what you were building and what you were implementing over there is because for those who don't know who's listening, Michael is that's weird, isn't it? We come from a place where we've only called each other by our last names for the last 20 years.
And you know, when someone says Michael, usually I don't even look.
Oh, yeah.
It's like calling me Jim, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
It's fun. But Michael was very instrumental, especially in the security side, of building a seminary program within the prison. Can you tell me a little bit about that journey, about that program? Maybe its start or your part in it.
Yeah. It actually started out thinking I was getting fired.
How so?
Because Warden Benavides called me to his office one day and told me, "You got to be in Santa Fe tomorrow." I said, "For what?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "You got to be in Santa Fe at the Secretary of Corrections office tomorrow, and you got to be there by 8:15, and you can't be late." I'm like, "Well, what'd I do?" He's like, "I don't know." So I literally drove all the way to Santa Fe thinking that I'm in some trouble.
Right.
I got up there and I walked into the administrative office and there was a little security guard there. And I told him my name. He said, "Oh, have a seat." So I sat down on this little couch right out there. And the Secretary of Corrections walks in, and the deputy secretary and the directors and the legal team, and there was a reporter and then some old man walked in, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're all going in the same office.
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking, man, I really messed up.
Yeah, who told?
Yeah, exactly. It better not be Carol. I thought, I've messed up a lot, but I've never been called to Santa Fe and had to have the legal team and all these people here. So my head was spinning. I didn't know why I was there. And I walked into the main large conference room, and Rourke, Deputy Secretary Rourke, asked me, he said, "Do you know why you're here?" I said, "I ain't got a clue." In my head, I'm thinking, I ain't telling you neither. I'm not needing nothing.
Uh-huh.
And he said, "Well, we need you here because I need you to run something for us." I'm like, "Well, what?" And he says, "I need you to run a program for us." I'm like, "I'm not a program guy. I'm a security guy." And he's like, "No, we need you." I said, "Well, I don't know why me." So what's the program? And he says, "Seminary." So I asked him what seminary was. I had no clue. Right?
Yeah.
And he told me it's a faith-based program. I said, "Well, what do you mean a faith-based program?" He's like, it's a faith-based program where these inmates can earn up to a master's degree in theology with a minor in Christian counseling. I kind of looked around the room. I'm not real sure what to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, I said, "Hey, you got the wrong guy." And they, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "I believe in Jesus. That's my Lord, my Savior.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not a Bible thumper."
Mm-hmm.
And they all kind of chuckled and kind of giggled. And Rourke said, "Brisco, we don't want you there to be a Bible thumper. We want you there because you don't let things fail."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "What?" I said, "This is a program that we can't have fail. Therefore, we're going to reassign you to this."
Mm-hmm.
And you know how corrections is. They asked me basically if I do it. Without really thinking about it, I said, "Yeah."
Sure. Yeah.
So they said, "All right, well, we'll be in touch."
Mm-hmm.
And you're dismissed. So I walked out of there, no clue what I just got myself into. Got back in the car, started Googling what a seminary program is, figured it out. I said, "Oh man, this ain't where I should be." So on the way home, thank God, between Roswell and Vaughn's 100 miles to nothing.
Yeah.
Tumbleweeds and two big cowboys, all you're going to get to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing some praying, like, why me? What do I have in this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why do you want me there? And I never really got an answer, I don't think. A couple days go by, and me and our captain, Dino Castillo, was talking, and he said, "Just do it, man. Like, if you don't do it, you're probably going to be blackballed."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "All right, I'll do it." So I did. I told him, yeah, and this old man shows up and wanted to talk to me. It was the old man that was in that room.
Mm-hmm.
And he introduced himself. His name's David Cowles. And started telling me, "Well, here's what I want to do. Here's my thoughts. Here's my plan. We kind of got it going, but not really. And they're already letting it fail." And So he told me some of what they've already started and what he would like to do. And he handed me an envelope, and in the envelope was plane tickets to Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
So the next week I flew out to the Angola prison, the state penitentiary in Louisiana, and I learned their program. And we brought it back here, and we kind of mirrored Louisiana State Penitentiary seminary program in here. And basically what it is we partnered up with the University of Southwest in Haas, and we had adjunct teachers come in and teach our inmates that we selected for the program. And they had to be in that course for 2 years. And then after 2 years, we distributed them around the state and to every prison. And then they have to do 2 years there before they can come back to get their next degree. So it's a revolving door. We train them, we send them out, they do their time, they come back, we give them a little more. We send them out, and then they come back, all the way to a master's degree. And it's actually the only program in the state of Mexico that's solely funded by one individual.
Yeah.
It's a multi-million-dollar project that's solely funded by one guy. And I asked him one time, well, why do you do this? And he told me, because I believe God said I should. You don't use it as a tax break. You don't use it for any other reason other than God told him to do it. And I thought that was super admirable. So, yeah, we just pumped those inmates in and out of class, and we were very, very selective on the inmates we picked. But we also we took some Muslims in. We took, it wasn't just Christians. We had to open the program up to everybody, and anyone that wanted in, they went through the same screening process. The religion didn't matter, so to say, because we couldn't discriminate against them. So we actually had quite a few that was Islamic and Muslim and that came through there and converted and gave their life to Christ.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And one gentleman, he came in and he was very, very negative. Very, 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 just hating his heart big time. You could just see it all over his face that he was basically there just to be a thorn in my side.
Right.
And we selected him. He made all the criteria. We selected him. And I bet you it took probably 1.5 years. And finally he gave his life to Christ. And he told me that he did that the reason for getting in that program was to file litigation for discrimination because he was an African American Muslim, and that he thought we were going to deny him. And then he thought that we were going to kick him out, and his game plan was to file litigation against the Department of Corrections for discrimination. And actually backfired on him.
Yeah.
And
now he's bought and paid for by Jesus.
Yep.
That's funny.
and he wasn't the only case we had. Like, we actually had quite a few that I believe they got into it and changed their whole life around.
Yep.
Whenever I took that program on, there was 2 people that I looked at them, they're known gang members. They're known to be super violent. They are just bad all the way around, in my opinion, right? So when I was talking to the Deputy Director Rourke, I told him, yeah, okay, you're putting me in charge of this, which means I got full run of it, I got the reins, right? He said, yeah. I said, good. Kick these 2 guys out. I said, I don't want them in this program. They're going to ruin it, and they're going to mess it up for everybody, so my job's to protect that program. I'm going to protect it 100%. I want them out. He said, you don't get that. They're in it. I said, what? Rourke told me, he said, no, they're in it. So I prayed about it, and they're in it. I thought, oh, this is never going to work. Ever. One's an LCer and one's a SNMer, and they've already had hits on each other. So you got the 2 leaders of the 2 predominant gangs in prison. Well, when I went to Haas, I met with both of them and asked them why they were in it, and they gave me their reasonings, and I basically told them, all right, well, we're going to see today. What do you mean? So I go pack your stuff. So I put them both in the same cell.
Yeah.
And think about it. These are guys that have already sworn to their gang that they're going to kill the other one.
Yeah, 100% on green light. Yeah.
And I put them in the same cell
Uh-huh.
and said, figure it out. You're going to live through here. Like, I'll know tomorrow if you're in it for the right reasons or not.
Uh-huh. I
shut that door, and they said, hey, whoa. I said, that's what I thought.
Uh-huh.
Turn around and they go, no. Just who do you want on top and who do you want on bottom? I said, what? I said, take turns.
Uh-huh.
They took turns for a year swapping beds.
That's
and
awesome.
I went home that night. I got all the way back to my house, got in bed, looked at my cell phone and just waiting for it to ring.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew I messed up. I already knew that they're going to kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they both actually graduated
Yeah.
the program with zero violence and lived with each other the whole time.
Huh.
And I thought for sure it wasn't going to work.
Right.
I was wrong. So as there was some challenging, and then I was the captain in RCC, and it got to a point to where they wanted me to go to every prison
Mm-hmm.
twice a month. Well, going to every prison in the state of New Mexico twice a month and running RCC
Mm-hmm.
became too much.
Right.
So I actually told our director at the time, something's got to change.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't feel like I'm giving Roswell the time I should.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but I'm taking away from my kids' time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've missed a couple appointments to go to some of these places, so it's not right for them either.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, well, what do you suggest? I said, hire me a chaplain.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, well, you got someone in mind? I said, yeah, actually I do.
Yeah.
So we're going to steal him. And that's what we did. We stole Chaplain Brazil.
That's when he came to work for RCC?
That's exactly
Yeah, I didn't know where that came from. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he got to RCC basically because I needed someone to be there with me for
He used to
seminary.
pastor here.
Chaplain Brazil's here?
Yeah, when he worked at Hobbs,
Yeah.
and he would drive back and forth. He was the pastor here.
Yeah, me and Chaplain Brazil have a lot of road miles.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever ride with him, make sure he's driving because he can't hear out of his right ear. So
Right.
unless you want a bunch of hunts,
Yeah.
make sure he's driving.
When I told him I was doing this, I asked him if I could interview him just about prison ministry and stuff like that. He's like, sure. And I don't know if you saw over there, but I have headphones because if you're hard of hearing, if we can't have this conversation, we can put those on and talk like that. I said, yeah, I even got some headphones. I said, if you're hard of hearing. And he looked at me like I was stupid. He said, if?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, he's bad. Bad.
There's two guys in they're in Carlsbad. One of them, I have some preacher friends in Carlsbad, and they always tell me, because they're big and celebrate recovery, and they always tell me every time George Sotelo goes over there and preaches, these guys, because they know I'm a prison guy, they send me a text and they talk about him. And the other one is I don't know if you know much about Baptist, but we belong to an association, and then we belong to a convention. Right. And one of our pastors in our association is Miguel Silva. He's the pastor of Garden Street in Carlsbad. So and he was one of your guys.
Yeah, well, I accepted him into the program. And when I say we accepted him into the program, the first couple classes, hundreds of applications, hundreds, and we had to narrow that down to 30.
Uh-huh.
So narrowing it down to 30 meant that we had to figure out the best 30 that was going to give us their 100% attention and commitment to fulfill it, because we paid a flat rate per inmate. And it didn't matter if he went through one day of it or left the day before.
Right.
It was a flat rate, and that's what was paid. So, for the lack of better words, to get the bang out of our buck, the first couple of classes I tried to put nothing but lifers in it. Because
they're going nowhere.
Yeah, I mean they're not going to go nowhere, and you bang for your buck. You got them for a long stint. But after that, the classes, like, there's only so many lifers, so then I moved it down. Okay, well then you got to be doing 20 years, and then the next class. Okay, well we ran out of those now, so we got to do 15 years, and it came all the way down to where they 5 years they were eligible for the program. And he was one of them. But in those interviews, or in that acceptance process, we interviewed them, and we went into depth. I'm talking hour and a half interviews per inmate to find out that if they were willing to really do it. And we went into depth on their childhood, on their religion background, on their gang affiliation, on their crime. We went through details of each crime, and just to see if they would show remorse and to see where their heart's at. And so hundreds and hundreds of interviews I had to sit through. And some of these guys, their stories are super violent.
Sure.
And I remember bringing Wayne in to some of the very first interviews, and I'm already used to hardened. Maybe I know their crimes and stuff. But Wayne, coming as a chaplain, was kind of blindsided by that. And you're talking crimes against women and children. You're talking details of crimes on murders and capital murder, right? And it turned his gut a lot. So he didn't want to be that. So what I ended up doing was he came in for the spiritual side of things, and I came in for the security and the security side of it. So chaplain was a big asset to me, big time.
Yeah, he's still heavily involved.
Yeah. He actually, it was good for me. I think more than the inmates, because we'd be driving, like some of the off the wall conversations we had. He would put a spiritual touch to a lot of it for me, and just made me think. Oh, you know what? Prime example, there was a time that we're driving down the road, and my phone rang, and it became a very aggressive, ugly conversation with the other side of it. And I hung up, and he said, Brisco, next time you get one of those calls, ask him if you can call him back. Pray about it, think about it, and then call him back and see what. And I thought about that. I'm like, you know what? You're right. So still to this day, if I'm gonna have a ugly conversation with somebody, hey, let me call you right back.
Yeah.
Just so I can get my head right. That way I know that I'm not using profanity and I'm not going above and beyond. Just kind of as my essence. And Chaplain's the one who taught me that.
Did you? You were a believer. You talked about praying before that. Do you remember when you came to the Lord?
Yeah, I do, honestly. So, I grew up in a broken home, and we moved around a lot. And we would move somewhere, and we'd meet new kids or new, and they would invite us to church, and I'd go to church with them, and then we'd have to move, and I would go to, hopefully we met some more friends, and I'd go to their church or whatever. But I really never really. Well, it was more, I guess, a playtime. And I'm talking when I was super young. But when I was 16 years old, I got invited to church camp, and in my mind, it was just going to be another fun deal, right? And just another free trip, fun trip, blah blah blah. And we get up there, and I can't remember where I was. It was in the mountains somewhere, and I don't know what happened. But I got a burning in my heart, and I don't even know how to explain it. It was just a hunger, maybe, a burning hunger for Jesus, and that's where it all started. And then I remember as soon as we got back, I went to my pastor. His name was, at that time I was going to Assembly of God, Midway Assembly of God, and Danny Sons was my preacher. And we got back, and I went over to him and said, hey man, I need baptized. And he said, why? And I told him, well, because this, I want to give my life to God. And he said, well, why now? So I don't know, because I got this burn. I told him, sorry, my heart's on fire for him. And I remember just watching the smile on his face. Was like, it was almost like his reward. And yeah, that's when I got back. So I got baptized in Midway Assembly of God Church and gave my life to God. But that's where it started, was that. And why or how or anything, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know
He
that.
just got you.
Yeah. I don't know why. I was in it for the hot dogs and the hamburgers.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And so why, I don't know, but that's where it happened.
Yeah, I went to basically shut somebody up because I was tired of hearing about it. And then the preacher's over there like talking about, well, I mean, he wasn't talking about me, but in my head, like, this guy, she told him.
Yeah.
And he's telling the whole story. That reminded me, you were talking about that being his reward. What happens here in this church is we have an invitation, and everybody gets up and they sing, and we still use the hymnals. And whenever somebody comes up, and I've seen it a couple of times, and I don't do nothing. It's all Jesus. But sometimes, like as a reward, like you said for him, he gives us a glimpse. He gives us a front row seat at it, and there's nothing cooler than seeing somebody there with that thing, close it, put it down, and start walking.
Yeah.
And you could hear that thing across the room when they close it. Yeah, so I can imagine the smile that guy had on his face. What do you think's the biggest the gospel impact other than your conversion when it happened to you? What do you think's the biggest gospel impact you've seen, either with someone else or maybe in a prison or in a jail setting? Or
we had a guy that in Hobbs.
Uh-huh.
I believe his crime happened in like 1979,
Uh-huh.
or so. It was in the late 70s, and he had been in the whole time straight. And we got him into seminary, and he told me, he said, I'm gonna go home one day. So you're serving 999 years.
Uh-huh.
You've had 3 appeals. You've been in front of the parole board 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think now you're gonna go home? Like, is there new evidence being? He said no. He said, because I'm doing this for the right reasons now. So what do you mean? He said, I'm doing this for the right reasons. His name's O.C. Farrell.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually a superintendent.
Mm-hmm.
He was a superintendent. No, he was a principal at a high school.
Uh-huh.
And he shot and killed the superintendent.
Oh.
And been down the whole time. Anyway, he told me that. And I asked him, why do you think? Because I'm doing it for the right reasons. And about 6 months goes by, and I was in Hobbs for a 2-day deal, and he told me, hey, I had a weird dream last night.
Uh-huh.
I said, what do you mean? He said, I had a dream that Jesus walked next to me in front of the parole board, and they granted my release.
Wow.
I said, oh man, that's weird. So okay, well, good for you. I hope it comes through. A week later, I'm back in Hobbs, and he's there, and I'm like, hey, the parole board's here. You gonna see him? He goes, no, I'm not on the docket. I'm like, oh, okay. And the caseworker comes into my office and says, OC, they added you to the docket, so you're on the docket to see parole board.
Uh-huh.
And he looked at me and said, all right, I'll be right back. And I said, you'll be right back, or you're going to put your stuff up? He goes, no, these things don't take very long. I'll go in there and talk to him for 2 minutes, and I'll be out.
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. I'm sitting there, and I don't know, 20 minutes goes by, and he walks back in, and he's a solid white.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, hey, what's up with you? And he's like, I think I'm going to pass out. I'm like, oh, I'll get medical. About that time, the caseworker walks in, and she's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, he just walked in and sat down, he's not feeling good. And she's like, no, he's going home. I said, what? He didn't even know he was going to be added to that docket.
Yeah,
and
that's
he
awesome.
told me weeks prior to that he had that dream.
Uh-huh.
And sure enough, 3 days later, he left prison and went home.
That's awesome.
So I always think about that, like, if you got God by your side, anything's possible.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, think about that. You've done that much time, over 30 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
You've already been denied on every level, from Supreme Court down, and all of a sudden you have a dream that Jesus goes to you or with you,
mm-hmm.
and now it happens.
Yeah.
Tell me that ain't real. I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. Do you know anything about him now? What he's doing with the word? Is he spreading? Or?
Yes, actually, he's a volunteer at his local church. I talk to him probably about, I don't know, every few months he calls me.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, it just blew me away. Like, nothing's possible.
Yep.
Nothing's not possible.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that stuck to me.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's cool that we get a front row seat to see see some things that wouldn't be possible without
exactly.
God. Yeah. That's
And you know, kudos to him too for even having the faith
mm-hmm.
and not being so negative and let down, and still have that amount of faith to say, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, he made it. And Jesus made it happen for him. So
that's cool. That's awesome. Do you have I like to ask everybody this? Do you have a favorite verse or passage or story?
Yeah, I would say my favorite book in the Bible is definitely John. I think that I can relate to, not relate, but I can, there's a lot there that I see
mm-hmm.
that applies to my everyday life.
Right.
So, as far as the Bible verses, John 8:7, let him cast the first stone. But actually, what they're talking about is that a woman that committed adultery. But that sticks to me because it helps me not to judge.
Right.
And in a correctional setting,
mm-hmm.
you deal with everything.
Yep.
And it's our job not to judge them.
Right.
So to me, that scripture
mm-hmm.
kind of solidifies that and strengthens me
mm-hmm.
to not do that. Even though human body, human mind, we want to judge that guy because of that
mm-hmm.
crime. And it kind of tells me, hey, don't do that. Like, you can't throw a stone in this house because you're a sinner too.
Right.
Yep. And that's basically, to me, that's what that verse is telling me,
mm-hmm.
is that you're not any better.
Right.
Maybe a different sin, but it's still a sin.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that one. And even John 11:35, I like that one too because that's the shortest verse in the Bible is Jesus wept.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, he wept because of his friend Lazarus dying.
Right.
But why I think that impacts me so much is because in our career, it's portrayed that you have to have a heart of stone.
Right.
And to me,
uh-huh.
that strengthens me saying, no, you can be compassionate too.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a big part of our job.
Yeah.
Is to be compassionate
For sure.
as well.
Yeah. And I know that you don't like to brag on yourself, but I have seen you personally be compassionate with inmates when you're bringing them in and telling them hey, your whole family just died in a car wreck or whatever the case may be. That always stuck with me, especially because, like I said, you and Crocker were there before us, so we kind of model ourselves after you guys. And you'd give them a minute, and you'd give them a phone call. I always thought a lot of that.
And those two to me run coincide too.
Mm-hmm.
You can't cast the stone, you can't judge him,
uh-huh.
and then you got to be compassionate too.
Yep.
Like, put yourself in his shoes.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't commit the same crime,
uh-huh.
but you almost got to put yourself in his shoes too.
Yeah.
And that's tough too, especially when you have a guy that's in your face,
mm-hmm.
talking smack, making your life miserable every day,
yep.
and then you got to show compassion to him.
Yep.
That's strength.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got to show compassion to someone who's not compassionate back,
mm-hmm.
that's strength to me.
Right.
So,
yeah.
To me, those two kind of run side by side.
Right. And they're in a position too where they can do nothing for you.
Right. Exactly.
And you don't have to do that. You can say, "Ha, remember when you did this to me?" They can do nothing for you, and I've seen you numerous occasions use that.
Yeah.
Compassion. That's like when that guy died, Witten. Me and my church, we buried him, and they had a friend who dug a hole, and so the deal was we were going to get him in the hole, and then we're going to bury him, and then about 30 minutes of shovel work, I called you. Yeah, 100%. And I remember you showed up on the tractor, and there's nothing those people could have done for you or for anybody else. in a time of grief. But it always stuck with me. Like, first of all, I was grateful because you were there doing me a favor. But it stuck with me, the compassion that you had for them, because after you buried her dad, you got down off the tractor and you talked to her for a little bit. And you probably never saw her again.
Right.
There's nothing that they were going to do for you.
Sure.
That compassion, just yeah. It's funny that you say that that's your favorite verse. That apparently it's your favorite verse to the point that it's stuck with you throughout your life.
Well, good, because that's what I tried to do.
Right.
But, the compassion, you don't show compassion because you want something.
Right.
You don't show compassion because you need something. Mm-hmm. You show compassion because that's the right thing to do.
Right.
I mean, it's just, no matter the circumstance. Yeah. I actually think compassion, too, is contagious.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can see that.
When I show compassion and someone else is there, I hope what they get out of that is to spread that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, I mean, you can't run that place with an iron fist all the time.
Right.
And you can't run it with compassion all the time.
Right. Oh yeah. There has to be a balance.
There has to be equal balance. You know? And there's a right time and a place for everything, and compassion and rolling it with an iron fist definitely has a place there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
so,
for sure. Yeah, and you've had a good balance of that. I didn't mean to imply that you're just
yeah.
always this huggy guy. But it's just when you told me that was your favorite verse, I'm like, man, a lot of stuff's making sense right now.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, and I like the one where you beat the guy too.
Well, actually, that's Philippians 4:13. Because that says that you can do all things through.
That's
through
right.
Him, even if that means beating someone.
That's right.
Or showing compassion. I mean,
yeah, maybe.
I don't know if I've ever been in a fist fight with an inmate and thought about, hold on, Philippians, I could do this.
Yeah.
But I like to think that that's in the back of my head all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what it says.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It keeps it going. Why the change from? I mean, and I know you're not out of it yet. You still have a little bit before you retire or whatever. But running for county commissioner, why the change? Why did you decide to do that? I guess.
Couple reasons. One, because I'm retiring, and I have all these years of being a public servant.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually on the tractor praying, and that's what I do on the tractors, pray, and like, all right, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like God said, well, put yourself in a position to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, public servant is what you do. So put yourself out there to do it. Never in a million years did I ever think I was going to run for county commissioner, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did never think that was my deal. But if I put myself in a position to do that, I put myself in a position to help others.
Right.
So the next warden that comes in, I'll be in a position to help him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the things that I think that we need there at that jail, and not only jail, roads everywhere,
mm-hmm.
it's going to put me in a position to try to help them get the tools they need to do a better job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to result in better departments, better roads, less litigation for our taxpayers' money.
Mm-hmm.
So it all comes down to basically being a public servant. That's why I want to. The job don't pay hardly anything.
Mm-hmm.
It does pay, but I've had a lot of job offers, a couple real recent,
mm-hmm.
that I could have took. They made a lot more money,
mm-hmm.
but it's not about money to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's about where can I help? Where can I be the public servant? Where can I help the next guy?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I see the most need. So,
yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about your platform? What are you running on? What are your values?
Very easy. Family, faith, and service. That's literally. And I know that sounds kind of generic,
mm-hmm.
but that's what my rock is.
Yeah.
My rock is my faith. My family is my support system.
Mm-hmm.
Service is what I like to do.
Yeah.
And I believe I have a good platform with those three pillars,
mm-hmm.
because I can lean on any of those three. So that's my platform.
Yeah, and I see your family's growing too. How's that? How's
My
the
family is growing.
grandparenting?
Yep, I am a grandpa of 3 beautiful, beautiful granddaughters.
Huh.
And Tyler, my oldest boy, had his daughter, which is my newest addition, and they're all beautiful and healthy.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
That's awesome.
My older granddaughters, they're a mess.
Yeah.
They're my mess.
Yeah.
And they love riding on the track with Papa, you know.
Yeah.
And they call me Pops.
Mhm.
So when they come over, that's all they want to do is Pops. They want to go ride on the tractor. They want to hang out. So,
Mhm.
you know, it's crazy that a 2-foot little bitty girl
Uh-huh.
can have you so wrapped.
Yep.
But man, and it's completely different than having kids.
Oh yeah, isn't it weird? They're just how much better they are than their than their parents.
Yep. Well, I don't even mind if they spill their juice.
Yeah.
My kids, oh no, we're wiping her up.
Yeah.
Even if we gotta wipe it up with your hair, we're wiping her up. And my granddaughters, no, it's okay.
Yeah, my granddaughter was doing something I don't even remember what, but she was yelling. She was talking back. Whatever. My daughter was here visiting, and she looked across the room and she looked at me and she says, "You're not gonna whip her?" Nope. Why would I?
And when or even if you think you're going to, well, I'm gonna defend her.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm about to turn into this 2-year-old's attorney right now. We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna run a plea bargain on this. Like, nah.
That's funny.
Yeah, but my family is growing. But you know what? All of my kids have turned out to be great kids. And my stepkids are in sales, and one's an educator. And then my oldest boy, of course, he's a city cop, and my youngest, Tanner, is a CO.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, I'm just very fortunate that I had such good kids.
The stepkids, none of them do they have a desire for law enforcement like your boys? Or?
No, one of my stepboys, he was looking at getting into the military.
Uh-huh.
The other one's in sales, and he's kind of content there.
Uh-huh.
You gotta have a special kind of attitude to be in sales,
Mhm.
and he has that perfect attitude.
Oh,
and
that's
then my
good.
stepdaughter, she is an educator. She works at Mountain View Middle School.
So you're just gonna save it for the grandkids and get them in a jail?
Yeah. Yep.
I remember when my grandkids were first born, I found a blue one and a pink one because they're twins, and it said future correctional officer.
Oh, really? I do have a granddaughter that she'd make a good warden.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she thinks she's the boss of everything.
It's funny.
Yep, she's a handful. Her name's Brielle. She's a mess.
Yeah. How can people get involved with your campaign, or how can someone support you?
2 ways. One, by just logging on to my website. We launched a website that has all about me, my goals, kind of the direction I want to take District 1, and that's just michaelbrisco.com.
Okay.
When you pull it up on Google, it should be the first deal. So, and the 2, just by email. So, I get emails for people wanting yard signs, to people wanting to volunteer to knock on doors, just to spread the word. So, on that website, you can actually, there's a spot to click on to how do I volunteer, or what even if you just have questions like what am I about, if you want to know something about me, you can actually just get on that website and submit a question. And we're not having robo answers. So every email I get, I'm answering it by myself. It's me typing it, me writing it. It's not no robo-caller or
Right.
nothing like that. And I've had a couple good little emails and good debates on there. And I'm also not ashamed to say I don't know everything. So even if people think that they have a better idea than me, I'm open to hear it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not the smartest, I'm not the fastest, and I understand that. But I am open to suggestions. And I've got some really good suggestions from a couple people. So, I mean, it's a good platform that we can just even communicate back and forth.
Nice.
So, and it tells you all about me. Like I said earlier, I never thought I would be putting up billboards and signs with my picture and on it. But in that, I found this interesting. I have campaign managers, I have a treasurer, CPA, we have media, we have all the little deals, right? Well, part of that is having a campaign consultant. So I've been talking to a couple of campaign consultants, and on my billboards or my signs, I have a cross on them. And the guy's not from here; he's from back east, and he's dealt in a lot of elections and a lot of people that he was on president elections all the way down, right? And he told me, he said, "Are you sure you want that cross on there?" I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, yeah, of course I'm sure." He said, "Well, I don't want that to be the reason somebody will vote for you." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, it could be construed by someone that's not in the faith as a negative, and it might go negative against your campaign." He says, "A lot of people don't like to mix religions in politics." I said, "Well, that's true, and that may be true, but that's not up for debate." And he said, "Well, I hope you know your people around you." I said, "Well, the people I want around me are going to support that cross.
Right.
So I'm going to surround myself by the people who support that cross." Which means it's saying it's not up for debate. And he said, "Keep that attitude then." He said, "If you're going to go that route, you keep that attitude." I said, I wouldn't not keep that attitude. Like, that's not up for debate. But when I hung up, I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know, that sucks for people. You know, I get that they may not like the cross or whatever. That's their right. That's their deal. But I hope someday they can. You know, I really do. And like I told them, it's not up for debate. It's staying on my signs. And as of today, my signs are the only ones that actually have a cross on them. And it's staying there. So it was just kind of, it just struck me weird that someone would even tell me that. And to me, it was a no-brainer.
Right.
And he was like, it could hinder it. Well, you know what? If it hinders it, that's fine. That Jesus said that it shouldn't be there.
Right.
So I'll find another.
If that's the reason they don't vote for you, then I mean he's ultimately in charge at the end of the day. But I mean, wouldn't you want somebody, even if I'm just trying to stand in the shoes of somebody who's not a believer? I feel like I would want someone who is to represent me, because I know at the end of the day he's worried about me and he's praying about me, even if I think it's silly. It's nice to know that he is, I guess.
Well, you know, not everyone thinks the same, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And when I was thinking that, I'm like, I can't even cast a stone at him.
But yeah,
so
sure.
I prayed for him.
Yeah.
Like, once I got off the phone, I thought, you know what? Go out, get on a tractor. And lately I've been doing much tractor work, so my wood shop has turned into my church, and we've been, you know, praying in there, and that's one of the things we prayed for, is that if they didn't like it, I hope they find peace one day, and I hope they do.
Yeah.
So,
and then there's they'll see your example. I mean, there's some evangelism right there. Maybe they can see against their better judgment you end up in there, but here you are, you're an all right guy, and you follow this thing. Maybe that would be a reason to look into following it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just I've learned a lot in the last year. I mean, this is not something that I just jumped into. I didn't 2 days before the race say, "Hey, I'm going to do this." Like, oh my God. I mean, I really have been studying it. I've been trying to figure out the best avenues, how to even accomplish it. You know, it's funny because I actually, when I decided, hey, okay, this is what I'm going to do. First thing I did is I went inside and I wrote a plan down, right? I looked at it. Oh man, I wrote a tactical plan for commissioner.
Nice.
Like, the purpose of it, how I'm going to execute it, who's involved. Like, I wrote a tactical plan for this thing. And part of the logistics is studying it. You know,
Sure.
what I want to do,
Yep.
what do I want to share, what do I want to champion, what policies do I want to change, you know, what do I want to be involved in, how can I make it better, and that there's a lot of commissioner does that people just don't see. You know, like the planning and zoning board, fire board, the detention board, roads committees, the ETZ board. I mean, the legislative board. There's a lot of different things that a commissioner does that the general public has no knowledge of.
Right.
Even though it's in open forum meetings and they're all invited to those meetings, it's just they don't understand or it's not important to them until they need to dig a pothole, you know, or until they need to set a post or build
Sure.
a fence.
Yeah.
And then now it's the planning and zoning said no, so it has to go in front of commissions to actually rule on it, say yay or nay. So now as the landowner, now you are interested in that.
Right.
So I think the role of a commissioner, people just don't understand everything that they actually do for the citizens. And that's another one. I think that we should be more transparent. Not that at all that any of our commissioners are hiding anything, but just to let the public know what they do in case they run into an issue in the community that they need to reach out to. So, and that's one of the things I plan on trying to do is more of a social media, because I'm gonna have a couple commissioners not like this, but a lot of our commissioners are old school. They're old school ways, they're old school tactics, they're old school, they're raised that way.
Right.
And I was raised that way too, with those values, but in a newer age.
Right.
So I know the social media effect. I know how many people you can reach on that. Where them, like, just put it in the paper,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Ain't no one reads no paper no more. You got to blast it on social media,
Right.
where millions of people could see it at the touch of a button. Not that because it came on Sunday's paper.
Right.
So. But I am not. My race is between me and two other gentlemen, and I looked at it and I thought, you know what? At the end of the day, District 1's going to be well represented no matter what happens.
Yep.
Because both of the other guys that are running for the same position, I think that they, I do think that they will do a good job. And I think they're upstanding gentlemen. I just think I'm a better one. I think I have more to bring to the table
Right.
than them. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to be well represented in District 1 no matter what.
Yeah, that's good. But before we wrap up here, do you have a favorite hymn or religious song?
Believe this or not. Okay, so when I got your question, this is the hardest one I had to answer.
Is that right?
Yep.
Just because of how many there are, or?
It's because, like I said, my wood shop turned into my chapel lately, and depending on the need of my heart, or what the need of my head, or what I need spiritually, is where I turn to. Couple classics, Hallelujah. To me, that's a snapshot of Jesus' death, and that song, to me, tells me to do better, because he died on that cross for us. So that's just listening to that song makes me want to be better, just all around. And remember I told you about church camp? So back then there was a group that came out, and they were hot and heavy, right? And when I came back and decided I wanted to be baptized, I thought about it, like, can you do it? Can you hold yourself to that standard? Because it's a lifelong commitment. It's not just I'm going to do this every Tuesday. It's going to be a lifelong commitment. So are you sure you're ready for it? And I thought about, man, like, what if I sin? Like, what if I fail? And that was a worry in my heart. And I heard a song, literally, from the time I asked my chaplain that till the time I got baptized, or in between that time, a song came out that I heard, and it's called "What If I Stumble,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's by a group called DC Talk, and it's kind of like DC Talk was kind of like an upbeat hip hop religious band, and I listened to the words of that song and it made sense to me. So, and it's called "What If I Stumble." But being 16 years old, I was also worried, like, what's everyone going to think? Well, the very next song that came on was a song called "Jesus Freak."
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
Yeah, by the same band.
By the same band.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Who cares what they think? So, and then I would say another one. Those are the ones that impacted me kind of directly. But if I had to say another one, there's a song "Shout to the Lord," and that's kind of my pre-pep for myself.
Yeah.
So
That's your walkout music?
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So I like to hear "Shout to the Lord" just because, listen to the words of it, it gets me pumped, and it sets me up for the next song. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's so. I would say I'd have to lean on those three songs. "Hallelujah" is my favorite song. It's a classic, and like I said, it's a snapshot of what Jesus did for us, and it just makes me want to be better. Well, yeah. Out of all the questions, I had to think about those the most.
That's the one that got you going.
Because I probably could rattle off at least 20 more songs that, to me, meant something. But like, if I had to pick a favorite. So even the Bible verse was like, if you have to pick a favorite, I had to think about that one too. But though I picked those because I have to repeat those in my head a lot because of the world we live in, of our career opportunity, our careers. So I apply those the most. Put it that way.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, those are my favorite songs.
That's awesome. Well, unless there's something that you would like to add or something that you wanted to talk about, I will thank you for your time. And I'm trying to start a tradition around here that whoever is the guest, and if you would like to, would you close us in a word of prayer?
Yeah, of course. Dear Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise for everything, even this day, even the breath, dear Lord. Dear Lord, we know everything through you is possible. You are the one, you are the light. I just give you thanks and praise for the fire in my heart, dear Lord, just guiding me the right way and teaching me, dear Lord. Dear Lord, I just ask that you just reach out to everyone listening to this and know that Jesus loves them, dear Lord, and anything that they need, they can go to you. And you may not give them what they want, but you're going to give them what they need. And for that, dear Lord, we give you thanks and praise. Dear Lord, I just ask that you just watch over everybody and watch over this church, dear Lord. Dear Lord, this church been here a long time. A lot of people come through these doors just with you in their hearts. And for that, I give you thanks and praise, dear Lord. Dear Lord, just be with everyone and their families and keep everyone safe, dear Lord, for our county. In that, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.